Hey there, welcome back to the Path to Zion podcast, where we are rediscovering the ancient way. Thank you for visiting us over on pathtozion.com or listening here today on our YouTube channel. I just wanted to turn this on and take a few minutes to talk about some things that are on my mind today that have just kind of unfolded in my world, in my life here, talking with my wife just a little bit ago. And I felt like within our conversation, which was pretty much just me talking, I thought about how my heart's cry is still. It's such a deep place in me where I still long for people that I love, for people that I know, to understand and rightly see Father's appointed times. His Moedim. If you follow the channel at all, you know that we talk about it a lot, that the Moedim were established all the way back at creation. In Genesis, we see that Yahweh appointed the luminaries, the greater and lesser lights, for his Moedim, his seasons, his appointed times. And we see them spelled out very clearly as the people that we call Israelites are formed, and these mysterious Hebrews that come from the line and the seed of Abraham, the righteous man. And we begin to see that Yahweh's set-apart, holy, consecrated people keep his holy, consecrated, set-apart times, his appointed times. And so within the next few moments, this will be very brief, is I just want to talk about, hopefully, what I feel the Father would say about making a proper comparison between Father's Day and Yahweh's appointed times. I believe in my heart that it is a very good example, a metaphor of sorts of explaining the heart behind what I believe Father's heart is about his appointed time. So let me just kind of say this. This is completely off the cuff, where I told my wife I'm going to the studio. I'm just going to turn on the microphone and start talking for a few minutes, and we'll see where we land. And so today is designated as Father's Day. I'm not going to be sarcastic or hard towards the holiday or how we get here and all these things. That is not my heart's desire anymore. We don't celebrate Father's Day. We don't do Mother's Day. We don't do Christmas. We don't do Easter. We don't Valentine's. I mean, the lengthy list of man-made holidays that have been created, and you have to keep them. You have to. You're obligated, really, to do the requirements for what is expected in culture towards these holidays. Towards Father's Day specifically, I am a father. I understand, but I personally don't have any need or desire to be, recognized today, because I have the gift and the privilege of being a father to our gift of a son, and I get that, because at our age specifically, I didn't think we were ever going to be parents. I never intended to be a father. I didn't think I ever would be, and so I kind of get that in a unique way. But that being said, Father's Day today, and if you are a father, or if you're, the son or daughter and have a father that you're in relationship with, you have very likely had some sort of an exchange on some level. The majority of people do, and again, this is not a critique about that today. But these correspondences would be recognizing the love of a father, an honoring of a father, a thankfulness expressed towards a father. And in our American culture, you do something manly, fatherly. You get them a manly gift, or you take them out for a steak dinner, and you do these things. That's what American culture does. You do expected things for these set-apart, man-made holidays. And so in light of that, today is a day where, texts are made, cards are sent, dinners are had, and all these things that are done to, what? Recognize and honor a father. Now, here's where the comparison begins to come in, and we have to think spiritually here. Because as we think about this, from like a son to a father, well, father, and I'm saying this kind of in this this cultural, worldly sense of like, Father, I know that you know I love you every day. You know that I think about you. You know I'm thankful for you. You know that I'm grateful for the sacrifices you made when I was young, or the hours you worked, or the way you provided for us. I'm always in a place of thankfulness, but today, Father's Day, in this nation in June, it is a set-apart day. It is a special day. To what? To honor, to remember, to commemorate, to memorialize, if we're going to use the word correctly, the role, the place, and the individual that is a father. And so this is what I, from the deepest recesses of my being, wish the people that I love that think the feast of Yahweh are still just because they were raised, and it was literally subliminal suggestion throughout their whole life, and they have been programmed to believe still that the feasts of Yahweh, stated in the Word, are the feasts of the Jews, and thereby we have no connection with them. They're not for us. We're not going to rehash that again today. We do that. We have done that enough. But the point today, rather, as we make this comparison between Father's Day specifically and Yahweh's appointed times is, friends, this mindset that American culture has towards the Father in like in a more conservative, familial understanding of like, where families will get together and have a cookout today, or they will go out on a boat if that's what you do, or you take your dad fishing, or you give him a gift card to Bass Pro, whatever it is that culture does to honor and recognize a father. Why do they do that? Because today we have been told by culture, whether people like to admit it or not, you have been indoctrinated, and I used to be myself for my whole life. We have been indoctrinated by culture to honor, memorialize, and recognize today as an appointed time. To make a clear connection the best way I know how. I'm not trying to be offensive. I believe this is one of the most clear-cut examples we can have when we're talking about how do we explain Yahweh's appointed times to people who believe that they just don't matter, because here's the thing. So over the last 5 years or so, I lose track. I don't count months and days and years about how long we've been walking this part of our journey towards the ancient way. I have heard endlessly about Christians in Jesus don't need to, quote, do the feasts of the Jews because we honor God all the time. God knows I love him every day. I don't need to do Sabbath. I don't need to rest. The fourth commandment is irrelevant in Messiah. I don't need to do those things. Why? Because they've all been fulfilled and eradicated. I don't need to have an appointed time, even though that's what creation account Genesis tells us is perpetual for all generations. It will endure as the earth endures, day and night, all these things. We have been taught to, somewhere in the deep recesses of our mind, disassociate ourselves from Yahweh deserving a set-apart, holy, consecrated time himself. And this is the irony that I have to hold really tenderly and not get sarcastic about. Most Christians who look at us with a very, I'm making a scrunchy face with my eye and looking at me all goofy because we, quote, do the feasts in Messiah, because God doesn't need appointed times now. We love him all the time. We honor him all the time. These same individuals, friend, will honor, set apart, memorialize today for a father. This is not about right or wrong, great or lesser. This is about a call to anyone who has ears to hear to listen to what I'm presenting and just ask yourself in your own heart, is this, oh, that's what he's been meaning by observing, memorializing, remembering Yahweh's appointed times. Because, friend, this is a perfect comparison in my mind. Right here before us today, Father's Day, June 2024. And what's ironic is this morning, first thing to start our day, I'm not going to get in on all of the details, but our son is getting very big physically, and he has to sit on my lap today. Because it's Father's Day? No, he didn't even know that. Did I call him over on my lap because it was Father's Day? No, I didn't think about it either. I'd forgotten because we don't do anything with it. And that's not the point, but the point is I had this exchange with my son that was beautiful and incredible, and I'm pouring out my love for him not because it's Father's Day, but because it's my heart's desire to pour out my love upon my son, and hopefully my son pour his love out onto me. Now, should that be a daily thing? Yes and amen. In practical increments, yes. And equally, in the eyes of Yahweh, we should be that way every day. Father, thank you, bless you. We exalt your holy name. You are Yahweh Elohim. There is none like you. Yes and amen. Let us do that every day. Let us do that every day in the same way that we honor in our heart's place, no matter what relationships we have with our natural parents, our natural fathers. May we have a posture of honor and thankfulness and gratefulness and humility and reverence and remembrance of the gift that is a father. And just like people in American culture today, on Father's Day, well, today is a special day. Today is what? A special day for the fathers. And any submission of consideration of like, well, should we do that? I'm just telling you, this is another no-fly zone. Are you saying you don't love your father? You didn't call your mother on Mother's Day? Don't you love her? Why? Because the cultural expectation is this is a special, holy, consecrated, memorialized day, friend. In American culture, that is quite young. So here we are to make the comparison, and we'll be as clear as we can, and we'll just wrap this up today and be very brief. Throughout endless generations, friend, as we already stated, it goes back to creation itself. In the book of Genesis, in the beginning, Yahweh established His appointed times. He established a consecrated holy day. Let's just make it lighthearted so we can help make the comparison, and I'm not misunderstood at all. A holiday for Yahweh. A holiday for Yahweh. And so here's the challenge, friend. If you are a nominal Christian, a New Testament believer, but yet you are disconnected entirely from the old covenant understanding of how you bring your best to Yahweh on an appointed time unto a purpose, just like Shavuot for us in our house and our calendar, it's coming up quite soon. For some people, for most people, on a predictable calendar, it's today. Whatever the case, wherever that lands, why is that important? We are joining ourselves with thousands of years of generations who have memorialized, consecrated, observed, and exalted Yahweh's appointed time. And here we are for the final comparison. Why, friend? Why? Because I love Him. Because I want to give my best to Him. Because He is good, and here I'm fine with that even though most people don't like it, because He commanded me to. Because my Father said to do it, I will do it. And here's the heart of the Father side. Because my Father said, Son, I want to meet with you right now, at this time. At this time. And in this season with Shavuot, it's wonderful because what? You've been counting. You've been counting leading up to the celebration that is the memorial of Yahweh giving His Torah and pouring out His Spirit in Acts chapter 2. These are beautiful invitations, friend. So if you are observing, whether you do it because you have to and you realize that, or you just do it because you think you, quote, just want to, friend, then why don't you want to do Yahweh's appointed times? Why would, because, okay, so here it is. If we are doing Father's Day, I don't have to do Father's Day. I do it because I want to. Well, friend, right there is your ultimate comparison for why we in our household honor Memorialize and keep Yahweh's appointed times, because I just want to meet with my Father. I want to lavish honor, glory, and blessing to His great name, because there's none like Him. Do I do it every day? Yes. And I'm going to show up and meet with Him for Yahweh's appointed times. You've been listening to the Path to Zion podcast. We are rediscovering the ancient way. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes of your day today to listen to anything I would have to say. Think on it. Come to your own conclusions. Father is good. Amen.